At 3 a.m., my wife's sister called and said my wife doesn't love me. What I discovered next is every husband's worst nightmare, true story of betrayal and rebuilding. The call that split my life in two. At 3 in the morning, my wife's older sister called me and said that my wife doesn't love me. That was the sentence. No preface, no apologies. I'm Jake, 35. My wife is Emily, 33. On Instagram we were the easy kind of couple. Brunch photos, school concerts, DIY backsplash. I actually measured twice for. 2 kids, mortgage, a reliable sedan that always had Cheerio dust in the seats. The small kindnesses were our thing. She left me sticky notes, I warmed her car on cold mornings. If you asked 6 months ago, I'd have said we were good. But pollen season problems started to show up. Phone always face down, gym sessions that ran late, a new trainer named Cole, who commented fire emojis on her progress pics. More girls' nights, that never had group photos. My get noticed, my head made excuses. Back to 3 a.m. Caroline, 37F. The sister sounded like she'd been crying for an hour. Jake, I can't keep this. Emily doesn't love you. She's with someone. And Avery fell at the rink. I'm at the ER. We can't reach Emily. Her location is off. I checked our family app. Emily's icon was gray. Then a text popped up from a contact saved as Studio Mom, Sloan, one of her Pilates friends. Room 214. Same hotel. Ask at the desk. Attached was a blurry shot of a hallway lamp I recognized from a business hotel near the freeway. Here's the twist. Caroline admitted she'd covered for Emily for months, girls' dinners, that were actually rides to that same hotel. She'd thought it would blow over. Tonight, when our daughter's wrist swelled like a balloon and a chaperone started asking where mom was, the dam broke. I told Caroline I was on my way to the ER right after an errand. Then I drove to the hotel I'd booked sales teams at, the one with the heavy curtains and coffee that tastes like burnt paper. The front desk clerk said, "She just checked in, sir." My hands forgot how to be hands. In the elevator mirror, I looked like a man who just realized he'd walked onto a stage everyone else had rehearsed. Outside 214 I listened. A laugh I knew. A deeper voice I didn't. I knocked gentle. The chain slid. The door opened 2 inches. Emily's eye blinked at me, surprised, then something else. Behind her, a man's silhouette crossed toward the bathroom, shirt in his hand. "Jake?" she said, soft like a question she didn't want answered. I kept my voice even. "Hey, is now a bad time?" Emily froze like she'd seen a ghost. Her hair was messy, not in the just woke up way but in the we lost track of time way. Her robe was half tied, her lipstick faded, and her eyes were wide open lies. "Jake, I can explain," she said quickly, blocking the doorway like she could hide a whole human being with one shaking hand. "Go ahead," I said. My tone was steady, too calm for what was happening. I'd love to hear the version where this makes sense. Behind her, the man's voice called, "Who is it?" That's when she panicked. It's room service," she blurted. They mixed up the order. "Room service at 3 in the morning?" I said. "Guess they're running a 24-hour romance special." Her face fell. She stepped back, whispering, "Please, not here. Let me just." Too late. The man, tall, mid-30s, gym-built, walked out of the bathroom shirtless, towel around his neck. He froze when he saw me. The air turned into glass. "Jake, man, I didn't," he started, but I held up a hand. "Don't. You don't talk to me." Emily tried to block my view again, voice cracking. "It's not what it looks like." That cursed line. The soundtrack of every betrayal story ever told. "It's exactly what it looks like," I said. And Caroline was right. Her eyes snapped wide. "You talked to my sister?" "She called me. She's the reason I'm here. Guess you forgot family still has a conscience." Emily's lip trembled, but I could see her gears spinning, trying to rewrite the scene in real time. "Jake, please. I came here to talk to him about work. He's going through a divorce and I pointed to the wine glasses by the bed, the open suitcase, the robe on the chair. "Team building exercise?" Her shoulders collapsed. She whispered, "I'm sorry," then louder, "I was lonely. You've been working so much. I didn't plan this." Behind her, the guy sighed. "I should go." "Good idea," I said without taking my eyes off her. When the door closed behind him, she slid down the wall until she was sitting on the carpet, crying into her hands. "It's not like that," she kept repeating. "It's not love, Jake. It was just a distraction." "From what?" I asked quietly. "From the life you begged me to build with you?" She looked up at me, mascara streaked, still trying to control the narrative. "You don't understand. You stopped seeing me. You stopped." I cut her off. Emily, don't rewrite this. I see you now. Every inch of what you've become. I turned and walked out before she could say another word. Down in the parking lot, the night air was cold and clean. My phone buzzed. Caroline again. Did you find her? She whispered. Yeah, I said, staring at the empty highway. I found everything. When I got home that morning, I didn't sleep. I just sat in the kitchen with a mug of coffee that went cold before I remembered to drink it. The house was too still, like it knew. Every photo on the wall suddenly looked staged. The smiling faces, the vacations, the anniversary dinners, all of it now felt like props in a long-running play where I'd been the audience, not the lead. At 7:15, I heard the front door open. Emily crept in quietly, wearing the same clothes from last night, hair pulled into a messy bun, trying to pretend normal. She froze when she saw me sitting there. Jake, she whispered, voice hoarse, I didn't think you'd be home. Where else would I be? I said. You already booked the hotel. Her face crumpled. Please. Don't do this right now. The kids. They're at your mom's, remember? You sent them there for the weekend so you could work late. She flinched. The lie caught in real time. I was going to tell you, she said quickly. It wasn't supposed to happen again after last night. I just needed to end it, to say goodbye. End it? I asked quietly. You mean the relationship you've been having while pretending to kiss me goodnight? She shook her head hard, stepping closer, tears already streaming. No, Jake, please, it wasn't a relationship. It was a mistake. I swear. He's been going through a divorce and I don't even know what I was thinking. I leaned back in my chair. You were thinking about him. You were thinking about how far you could go before getting caught. That's when the performance shifted. The tears got louder. The guilt turned into anger. You're acting like this is all my fault, she snapped. You've been cold for months. You come home late, you don't even look at me anymore. What did you expect? That line, the what did you expect, hit me like a slap. I stood up slowly. I expected honesty. I expected respect. I didn't expect my wife to use neglect as a hall pass. She dropped to her knees then, clutching my hands. Please, Jake, don't say that. Don't throw away everything we've built. I'll do anything. I'll quit my job. I'll change my number. I'll never speak to him again. Just, please don't leave me. I wanted to believe her. Every part of me wanted to believe that maybe this was just a nightmare we could wake up from. But then I remembered what Caroline had said, she doesn't love you. And I could see it now. Not in her words but in her eyes. That flicker of calculation behind the tears. The part of her that wasn't begging for me, but for stability, for the life she didn't want to lose. Go shower, I said quietly. You look like someone else's wife. She gasped like I'd hit her, then fled up the stairs sobbing. I sat back down, staring at the spot on the floor where she'd been kneeling, and realized something brutal. I wasn't crying because she cheated. I was crying because I still loved her anyway. Emily spent the next few days walking on eggshells, pretending she was fixing things. She cooked breakfast, packed lunches, sent little I love you texts during the day. Anyone else might have believed it. But when you've already seen someone's mask slip, every gesture looks rehearsed. I tried to keep the peace for the kids' sake. Our son Mason was too young to notice much. But our daughter Lila, smart, observant, 12 going on 30, watched every tense silence at the dinner table like she knew something had cracked open. That Sunday night, Emily came into the living room wearing her robe and that look, the one she used to give me before things fell apart. Can we just talk? She said softly. I nodded, careful. She sat beside me, close enough for me to smell her shampoo, the one I bought last month. Jake, I don't know how we got here, she whispered. I hate myself for what I did. But if there's even a chance we can rebuild this, I'll do anything. She put her hand on my knee. Her eyes were wet but focused, still trying to control the scene. I want to believe you, I said quietly. But the problem is, I don't think you've told me everything. Her expression changed. Fear. Then irritation. What else is there to tell? I hesitated, watching her. You said it was one time. That night. It was. And the hotel receipts from last month? The photos from Chicago? She blinked, frozen. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. You left your tablet logged into your email, I said. I saw everything, Emily. You met him on every work trip since last winter. That was when she lost it. You went through my things? She snapped, anger replacing guilt like a light switch. That's a violation, Jake. A violation? I said quietly. I found hotel receipts, selfies, messages about how he makes you feel alive. And I'm the one violating you? She opened her mouth, but the words tangled in her throat. She started crying again, but this time the tears looked different. Less grief, more panic. "I didn't mean to fall for him," she said finally. "It just happened. But it's over, I swear." I shook my head. "No, Emily. What's over is your ability to lie to me." She dropped to her knees again, just like that night at the hotel. "Please, Jake, I'll make this right. I'll tell him it's done. I'll prove it." Then, as if on cue, her phone buzzed on the counter. A message lit up the screen. "Miss you already. Next weekend?" Her face went white. I looked at the phone, then at her. "You were saying?" She started shaking, whispering. I didn't reply. I didn't. "He won't leave me alone." I picked up the phone and read the rest. Messages. Dozens of them. The last one was from her, just yesterday. "Can't wait. Same place." She tried to grab it, sobbing. "Jake, please, I was ending it. You have to believe me." And in that moment, I realized she wasn't afraid of losing me, she was terrified of being caught again. That was the second betrayal. Not the cheating itself, but the performance. The way she still thought she could act her way back into the life she'd already burned down. By the next morning, I'd had enough of the lies. My chest hurt from holding in everything I wanted to shout. The silence between us had turned poisonous, thick with half-truths and fake apologies. I called her family. Not out of revenge, but because I needed someone else to see what I was seeing. Her mother, Diane, answered first, groggy and polite as always. "Jake, sweetheart, is everything all right?" "No," I said flatly. "Your daughter's been having an affair. And I have proof." There was a sharp inhale on the other end. "That can't be true. Emily wouldn't." "She would. She did. I caught her." The silence that followed was heavy. Finally, Diane whispered, "Oh, Emily," and hung up. 2 hours later, my front doorbell rang. Diane and her husband Don were standing there, her in a wrinkled cardigan, him with that same empty look I'd seen in Emily's eyes the night before. Emily came downstairs in sweats, hair tied up, trying to act surprised. "Mom? Dad? What are you doing here?" Her mother didn't answer right away. She just looked at her daughter like she was seeing her for the first time. "Jake called you," she said quietly. "Is it true?" Emily's eyes darted toward me, then back to her parents. "Mom, this isn't what you think. Jake's twisting everything." I threw her phone on the coffee table. "Read the messages, Diane. Then tell me if I'm twisting anything." Her mother picked it up with trembling hands. The first few lines were enough. She stopped reading halfway through a message that started with, "Last night was incredible." "Emily," she whispered, "how could you?" Emily's voice cracked. "It wasn't serious. It was a mistake. Jake's making it sound worse than it is." Her father finally spoke, low and tired. "Mistake? You've been lying to this man for months. He built you a life. You threw it away for what? A thrill?" "Don," her mother snapped, but her voice wavered. Then, in a sudden burst of fury, Emily shouted, "You don't get to judge me. You two are the last people who should talk about loyalty." The room froze. Her father's face went pale. "What did you say?" "You heard me," Emily said, her voice breaking. "You think I don't know about your secretary, Dad? Or how Mom pretended not to notice for years? Don't you dare stand there and act like you're better than me." Her mother covered her mouth in shock. "Emily." I stood there, stunned. Another skeleton, right out of the family closet. Diane turned to me, tears in her eyes. "I didn't know she knew. I'm so sorry, Jake." I nodded slowly. "Guess infidelity runs in the family." Emily glared at me. "You think you're perfect? You've never made mistakes." I met her eyes. "Not like this. Not this kind of mistake. The kind that kills trust forever." For the first time since I caught her, she had no comeback. She just stood there, trembling, while her parents stared at the daughter they didn't recognize. And in that moment, I realized something painful. I wasn't the only one she'd betrayed. She'd burned everyone who ever tried to love her. Her mother left in tears. Her father didn't say goodbye. When the door closed behind them, Emily whispered, "Are you happy now?" "No," I said. "But I'm finally awake." After her parents left, the house felt like it was holding its breath. You could almost hear the echo of everything that had just been said. Emily paced the living room, hands shaking, face blotchy from crying. "You didn't have to call them," she snapped finally. "You humiliated me in front of my own family." I looked up from my chair, calm in a way that scared even me. "You humiliated yourself. All I did was tell the truth." She let out a bitter laugh. "You love acting like the victim, don't you? You think being perfect makes you better than everyone else." "Perfect?" I said quietly. Emily, I'm the man who forgave the first lie. That's not perfection, that's stupidity. Her expression flickered, rage mixed with guilt. You're cruel, she said, her voice breaking. You're enjoying this. No, I said, standing up. There's nothing enjoyable about realizing your whole marriage was a performance. That's when her mask finally cracked for good. She started yelling, not crying this time but shouting as if rage could rewrite reality. You don't get it, Jake. You were never here. You made me feel invisible. I begged for attention and you ignored me. Right? I said dryly. So you fixed that by sneaking around with a married coworker. Great logic. She went quiet, breathing heavy. Then, out of nowhere, she whispered, "You're not exactly innocent either." I froze. What's that supposed to mean? She looked straight at me, eyes narrowed. Caroline told me. About the messages. My stomach tightened. What messages? Don't play dumb, she said bitterly. The ones between you and her. My sister. Don't think I don't know how much you two talked. I stared at her, realizing what she was doing, deflecting, spinning, dragging her sister into the mud to shift the heat. Emily, I said slowly, your sister called me to warn me about you. She saved me. She didn't lie for you this time. Her jaw tightened. Of course she did. She's always wanted you to think she's the good one. She's jealous. Jealous? I repeated. Of what? Watching you blow up your life. Her face turned red and she started to shake. You think you're so calm, so righteous, she spat. But you don't know everything. You don't know half of what I've done to protect you. I stepped closer. Then tell me, what else have you been hiding? She bit her lip, hesitating. Then she whispered, you think he was the first? You really think that? For a second the room spun. What are you saying? She closed her eyes, tears falling fast now. It started years ago. Before Ryan. Before the gym. It was someone else. I felt something inside me break. Who? Her voice cracked. A neighbor. When we first moved here. You were working nights and I was lonely. It was stupid. It didn't mean anything. I backed away, every word hitting harder than the last. That's 2 years into our marriage, I said slowly. You were pregnant then? She shook her head quickly. No. Not during, Jake, no. Mason is yours, I swear. I just stood there staring at her. That was the moment everything I thought I knew about my life collapsed into dust. My wife hadn't just betrayed me once. She'd been rewriting our history for years, and I'd been living in her fiction. After that night, nothing in the house sounded the same. The laughter from old videos, the echo of Mason's feet running down the hallway, every sound turned sour. I couldn't even look at family photos without wondering how much of it was real. Emily kept insisting that Mason was mine, repeating it like a prayer. But when trust dies, even truth sounds like noise. So, one quiet morning I went to a clinic downtown and ordered a DNA test. I didn't tell her. I didn't tell anyone. I just swabbed my cheek, then Mason's while he was coloring at the kitchen table. It's for science, I told him, and he grinned like it was a game. The results came back a week later. I opened the email in my truck, parked outside my office. My hands shook as I scrolled. Probability of paternity, 99.999%. He was mine. My son. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Relief hit first, then anger. Because even though she hadn't lied about that, she'd forced me into a position where I had to check. That's what infidelity does. It poisons every certainty. That night, I came home and found her on the couch with a half-empty glass of wine. Jake, she said quietly, I've been thinking. Maybe we could go to counseling. I sat down across from her. I did a DNA test, I said flatly. Her eyes widened. You did what? I needed to know the truth about Mason. She looked horrified like I'd just slapped her. How could you? I laughed bitterly. That's rich coming from you. Her face twisted. He's your son. How dare you even question that? I had to, I said simply. Because of you. She stared at me for a long time, then stood up abruptly. You're cruel, Jake. You think you're righteous, but you're just as cold as your father. That one landed. She knew my father and I barely spoke. He'd been unfaithful to my mother too. The irony was suffocating. Don't talk about him, I said sharply. Why not? She snapped. You turned into him anyway. You sit there judging everyone, acting like you're some kind of moral saint. But you're just like him, angry, controlling, impossible to please. I took a deep breath. Emily, I work 60 hours a week so this family can have stability. I put food on this table. You used that time to meet other men. So don't call that control. Call it sacrifice. For the first time she didn't have a comeback. She just stood there trembling, clutching her glass like a shield. Finally she whispered, "What are you going to do?" I looked her straight in the eye. "I don't know yet. But whatever I do next, it'll be for me. Not you." She started to cry again, but I didn't comfort her. I went upstairs, closed the door, and slept on the floor of Mason's room. Watching him breathe was the only thing that made sense anymore. That night, I decided I wasn't going to beg for honesty anymore. I was going to take back control of the story. Once the truth about Mason gave me solid ground again, something in me shifted. The constant sadness hardened into focus. I stopped pleading for honesty and started documenting everything. Bank statements, text logs, screenshots, even the hotel receipts she thought she'd deleted. Emily noticed the change immediately. She'd try to make small talk over breakfast, but I'd give short answers. I wasn't cruel, I was precise. One evening she asked, "Are you still angry?" "No," I said evenly. "Just taking inventory." A week later I made an appointment with a lawyer. Mr. Hartman was quiet, gray-haired, and methodical. I handed him a folder full of evidence. He flipped through it without a word, then said, "You've done half my work already." He helped me draw up separation terms that would keep the house and savings in my name. Our prenup gave me leverage, but the evidence sealed it. If she tried to fight, we'd have her adultery on record. While that paperwork brewed, I played the long game. I didn't throw her out immediately, not yet. I wanted her to see what it felt like to live in the house she'd hollowed out. I stopped responding to her emotional outbursts. No yelling, no pleading, no debates. Just calm detachment. That scared her more than anger ever could. She tried everything, cooking elaborate dinners, leaving flirty notes on my desk, even buying new lingerie. The first time she appeared in the doorway wearing it, I barely looked up from my laptop. "Jake, please," she whispered. "We can fix this." I closed the lid and stood up. "Emily, you can't seduce your way out of the truth." The next day she called her mother, sobbing. I overheard the conversation from the porch. "He's acting like I don't exist," she cried. "I'm trying, Mom. I really am." Diane's response was faint but clear. "Maybe you should have thought about that before you broke him." 2 nights later, I printed a single sheet of paper, the formal separation agreement, and left it on the kitchen counter. When she saw it, she went pale. "You're really doing this?" "Yes." "What about the kids?" "They'll have both parents," I said quietly. "Just not under the same roof." That night she didn't sleep. I could hear her pacing downstairs, muttering to herself. Every so often I caught fragments. "He's really going to leave. I didn't think he'd actually do it." And that was my quiet revenge. Not screaming, not public humiliation, just calm inevitability. She had wanted freedom, and I was giving it to her, with every door, every account, every inch of my patience closing behind her. The morning after, she was gone. No note. Just her wedding ring left on the counter beside the separation papers. And for the first time in months, the house didn't feel tense. It just felt still. For the first few weeks after she left, silence became a strange kind of companion. No clatter of her heels, no soft humming from the kitchen, no perfume lingering in the hallway. The kids stayed with me most nights. Mason drew pictures of houses with only one parent inside. Lila asked if Mom was coming back when she's done being sad. I didn't know what to say, so I told her, "We'll all be okay. It just takes time." Emily tried to reach me at first. Texts, calls, a couple of long rambling voicemails that started angry and ended apologetic. I didn't reply. Then she switched to emails, long paragraphs about how she finally understood what she'd lost. I read one. Then I deleted all of them. Her sister Caroline stopped by one afternoon with a bag of muffins and an awkward smile. "She's at my place," she said softly. "She's not doing great." "I'm not surprised," I answered. Caroline hesitated. "You know, she's always been restless. Even when we were kids, she'd break her own toys just to see if she could fix them." I nodded. She finally found something she couldn't fix. After that, I threw myself into routine. Work, the gym, the kids' schedules. The emptiness started to dull around the edges. I picked up an old hobby I'd abandoned years ago: woodworking. There was something soothing about shaping something solid, something that held its form when I was done. One night, while sanding a piece of oak in the garage, I caught myself smiling. Not because I was happy exactly, but because the noise in my head had gone quiet. A few months later, Emily's mother called. "She's moved in with a friend," Diane said carefully. "She's not the same. She keeps talking about starting over, but she's sick all the time. I think stress finally caught up to her." I hope she finds peace, I said simply. And I meant it. Then one Sunday Lila came running in with her phone. Dad, look. She showed me a photo online. Emily and Ryan at some charity event, arm in arm, smiling for the cameras. The headline read, "Local Marketing Director Engaged to Business Partner." My first reaction wasn't rage. It was pity. The kind that burns softly like a candle flickering out. She's someone else's problem now, I told Lila gently and took the phone away. That night, after the kids went to bed, I poured myself a small glass of bourbon and sat out on the porch. The air was cool and still. I thought about every word, every tear, every lie. About how I'd spent years trying to fix a story that had been written in deceit from the first chapter. And then I thought about tomorrow, about the half-finished table in the garage, about taking the kids hiking next weekend, about what peace actually felt like. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't victory. It was just quiet. And after everything, quiet was enough. It's been almost a year since that 3 a.m. call that tore my life in half. The house looks different now, lighter somehow. I replaced the gray curtains she picked with ones the kids chose, bright blue with silly patterns. The ring mark from her coffee mug on the counter is still there. I left it on purpose. A reminder, not a scar. Emily married Ryan 6 months ago. Caroline told me it was small. No family, no photos online. A quiet wedding for two people who'd built their love in whispers and shadows. From what I've heard, it's already unraveling. I don't take joy in that. Not anymore. I just recognize the pattern. People like them mistake chaos for passion. When the thrill fades, all that's left is emptiness, and mirrors they can't bear to look into. The kids still see her sometimes. Mason comes home quiet afterward, Lila a little distant. I don't push. I just listen. When they ask why things happen the way they did, I tell them, sometimes people forget how to love right. But that doesn't mean love itself is bad. As for me, I kept building. The woodworking turned from a hobby into something more. A neighbor asked for a dining table, then a friend wanted bookshelves. Now I've got a small shop in town. There's something honest about it. Me, the wood, the sound of a plane smoothing rough edges. It's work you can see. Work that stays done. A few months ago I met someone. Her name's Rachel, divorced, kind, steady in a way that feels like exhaling. She doesn't pry about my past. We talk about small things. Her students, she's a teacher, the shop, the kids. Sometimes we don't talk at all. Just sit on the porch, watching the sky turn orange over the trees. That quiet I fought so hard for doesn't feel lonely anymore. If there's anything I've learned, it's this. Betrayal changes you, but it doesn't have to ruin you. Pain can either harden you or carve out space for something new. I used to think revenge was closure, that if I made her hurt the way she made me hurt, I'd feel whole again. But closure isn't about making them pay. It's about finally realizing they no longer matter. Caroline still calls sometimes. She always ends with the same thing, you didn't deserve what she did. And every time I tell her the same truth, maybe not. But I'm better for surviving it. So, to anyone reading this who's staring at their own shattered life, please hear me. You'll stop shaking. You'll breathe again. You'll build something stronger than what they destroyed. And one morning you'll wake up, pour your coffee, look around the quiet of your own home, and realize you're not broken anymore. You're just free. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.